Hi, my name is Bailey, and today we will be celebrating Black History Month with Miss Lady Trenette Wilson. Can you tell us why you wrote Royal, Black, and Elite?
That's a great question. I really wrote it because a lot of African American history is centered around the oppression of African Americans. And I wanted to introduce the other side of Black history, the royal side. In our history, we have nobles, we have people who were royals, as well as Black business elites and people in the arts. So I just wanted to give us, a different view of Black history.
Why do you feel it is important for people to know about Black royals?
Well, I think it's very important because we do need to know that we came from royalty, that we came from people who excelled in business and in the arts. And when you know that, when you know you come from something other than just being oppressed or just slavery, you aspire to be more, to do more, and to keep the heritage of what they set for us alive. So I just wanted people to be inspired by what they read.
Who do you feel is the most important in your book?
Uh, they're all so very, very important. We have featured in here the seamstress of Abraham Lincoln's wife, Elizabeth Keekly. We also have the first opera singer, Katerina Jabora. We have so many important people in our book. I think I like James Wormley. James was the first founder of a hotel in the city of Chicago called the Wormley Hotel. And his story of how he just, came up, he learned to cook. And since I'm an etiquette instructor, just him going to Paris and learning all those things was of interest to me. So you'll meet a lot of different new and really important people in Royal Black and Elite.
How can the lessons of the people in Royal, Black, and Elite apply to today?
Now that's really a great question because we can always look backwards, but how does that apply to today? And when I picked each of these people that I wrote about in this book, I picked them because I thought they had some lessons that could apply to today. So some of them they built great wealth, and with that wealth they gave back to African American causes. In fact, one of the ladies, she's the mother of civil rights in San Francisco, she actually funded the John Brown's race. She gave him $300,000, which would have been in the millions today. So, we can learn from their activism, we can learn from their hard work that they put into their communities and to their jobs, into their businesses, and into their families. So I think they have some great lessons that we can apply to our daily living even right now.
How have times changed from when there were Black royals to now?
Ooh, well, a lot has changed, of course, between how industrialized we are now, and of course, people have grown, other countries have grown. But what I do see is that there is still yet a Black elite that exists in our country who are millionaires, who are leaders in different places within the Black community. And so I guess it's changed in that there's more of us. There's more people who are succeeding and, finding their wealth and finding their place within a country that once was extremely racist and didn't want them to find their place. And so today it's more of us, we're more wealthy, and we have a bright future. And you dear, are an example of that future.
Thank you. And also, how did Black people become wealthy and royals during slavery?
Oh, very good, very good. What people don't realize is that in the South there was slavery. In the North, however, there was not slavery. So that's why a lot of the slaves were trying to escape from the South to the North. But there was discrimination and racism during that time. So oftentimes, Black communities had to kind of spring up and take care of themselves. And so they had to have their own grocery store, they had to have their own coffee shop, they had to have their own schools, and so they sold to one another. And so a lot of those Black people during that time in the North, they even owned, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know is that some Blacks owned plantations after slavery. And so they had plantations and they owned sharecropping. sharecroppers. And so they made money in many, many different ways. Fashion, they made money in music, they made money in manufacturing things. And they're all in here in the Royal Black Elite. You'll find out how a lot of these people, Mansa Musa, who was a ruler in Africa, he was the richest man ever to live. His wealth was estimated at $500 billion in 3 AD. So today, those would be, astronomical wealth. And so, all of that is in here. We're just excited to bring you a new side that a lot of times people never knew about.
I've noticed what you're wearing today is very beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I'm a really authentic social historian. And so what a social historian not only studies the life of that time period, but also the fashion of the time period. So during the Victorian age, this would have been considered a business woman's power suit. So if I'm going to a business meeting, I'm going to have on my little apron with my little extra ruffles, always all the way down to the skirt, all the way down to the floor. And then if you see my shoe here, my shoe, even though it would be kind of cute for today, wouldn't you wear it today?
Yes, ma'am.
But it's really from that time period, 1800s and the 1900s. So I just simply have on a business suit that a woman would wear during that time. I wanted to point out, too, that during that time as well, when a woman would wear pearls, the pearls were held together with a ribbon versus being tied together any other kind of way. So I just wanted to introduce, we were setting fashion trends even in the 1800s.
Wow, that's very interesting. Can you tell us about somebody that's in your book?
Yes, there are 26 really amazing men and women in this book. And so I'm going to talk briefly about a man and a woman. That way you can have a little bit of both sides. So one man that's in here that I think that the audience would find really interesting is Alexandre Dumas. Alexandre Dumas is an African-French writer who a lot of people don't know, but a lot of people know his stories. He's the author of The Three Musketeers, Robin Hood, Count of the Monte Cristo, and the Nutcracker Ballet. Have you heard of all of those?
I've heard all of them.
all of them. So he really was the forerunner for adventure writing today. But, I don't think anybody knew this man was a black man who wrote all of those books. And he was born into royalty. And so it's really important that we point out to the world that, hey, we were creating beautiful art and writing way before anybody even knew it. And those books still last today. It's been adapted over 200 times in movies, plays, things like that. So he's a really neat one in there. And then I want to point out somebody a little closer to home. Her name is Maxine Powell. Maxine Powell is known as the etiquette maven of Motown. And Maxine was right here from Texarkana, Texas. And what Maxine did was taught the artists like Smokey Robinson and Diana Ross and the Supremes and Marvin Gaye etiquette. That's why you see, when you see them perform, they were so smooth and clean and dapper. It's because they all had to go through a class with Maxine Powell. So these are the kind of people that really led the way and opened the doors for people like you and me from way back in the past that no one ever knows about. And I can think of a few music artists who could probably use Maxine Powell today.
Oh. So why do you think teens need to read your book?
Well, one of the biggest reasons is because teens need to be exposed to black excellence and to know that they came from black excellence. I think it would give them a sense of pride in themselves and in their history. I also wanted to bring it to teens' attention because a lot of these people began their journeys as teenagers. James Fortin, one of the richest men in Philadelphia, he was known as all over the world as one of the richest men in the country, actually. He was a sail maker. So for boats, he created a machine that turned sails. and he became a millionaire because of it. And he started to learn how to do this when he was 9 years old. So I think what teens can learn from this is if you learn a skill and master it, your future can be very, very bright. Another person in here, have you heard of the new show on Netflix called Bridgerton?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so Bridgerton has Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz in there. And this lady is in this book. Queen Charlotte is actually the lady who the town of Charlotte, North Carolina, is named after. So Queen Charlotte, the Queen City, is really a woman that now is coming out to light through Bridgerton, but her journey actually started when she was only 17 years old. So I think it would be very interesting to see what teens were doing back in the 1800s.
Well, I'd like to thank you for coming. This was a very insightful interview. Can you tell us where to get your book?
Yes, thank you so much. Now you can find it at www.nauep.com, and you can also get it on Amazon.com. And I really want to thank you, Baille. You did a beautiful job with the interview. I want to thank the DeSoto Library and for honoring Black History Month and inviting me out. It's been a great honor to talk about my new book, Royal, Black, and Elite. Are you learning anything today?
Actually, yes. I'm learning a lot. I hope this book does amazing. I hope to see it in Barnes & Noble soon. I really do.
Oh, thank you so much. So even though you're a teenager, you find this information, kind of important to you, huh?
Actually, yes, because I like to see myself in a better light because majority of the time I'm always seeing myself in textbooks as a slave, nothing more. And I want to see myself with higher power than what I am given in a book. So I really love this.
Now, I can't tell you how that makes me feel because that's really why I wrote it. If I can plant this seed in you as you go throughout school and throughout life, you won't just, accept anything. You know that men and women went before you who sat on thrones, who owned businesses, and who were millionaires before you were born. So thank you so much for your support.
No problem. I'm really enjoying this.